Welcome everybody back to the show. This, of course, is our racing review of the last week. If you haven't already, as always, we'd really appreciate it if you subscribe to the channel and, of course, get your comments down below with regards to who you thought was the performance of the last 7 days of racing. We had some brilliant stuff over the weekend. Looking forward to getting stuck into it, but we'll check in first of all with the boys. Mr. Wrenn, how you doing?
Good now, Liam, and yourself?
Yeah, all good, thank you, mate. A bit croaky. Partly your fault, partly man's flu's fault, but yeah, I'm all right.
Oh yeah, partly my fault, is it?
That's what I'm telling the missus anyway.
Yeah, exactly. I should mind hills. Stay away from hills in future.
That's it. It's because I kept walking up them so briskly. I think that's what's done it. Yeah. Joe, how are you, mate?
Yeah, good mate. Not too bad for a Monday. Yeah, good racing to review. All good this end.
Cool. Right, we'll get stuck straight into it then. Obviously, we've got loads of really good action to review. We'll start off with the 12:30 at Cork on Sunday, which is yesterday. Obviously, recording this Monday afternoon. And Sortado was quite impressive. Went away well at the finish under a ride from Danny Mullins. A few people have mentioned various different trips. Joe, I'll start with you. What did you make of the performance in a whole, as in its entirety, and where do you see him lining up potentially if he is of kind of Cheltenham quality? Is he more over the minimum trip or more of a stayer?
Yeah, I don't really know Liam, to be honest. Like the performance was okay. He won well. I suppose you could sort of debate what he beat. Yalon Duderi we haven't seen for a very, very long time. One thing about Sortudo, he did progress as the season went on last year, so perhaps he'll do the same again, but he would need to. And I suppose I'd be disappointed if there wasn't a better horse for the Turners or the Bartlett. He just wouldn't be. He just wouldn't be a betting proposition for me at this point. And to be honest, that's it. Look, I'd be disappointed if we're not going to see better novices than him, regardless of what trip. To be honest, but I shouldn't knock him too much. It was a decent enough performance, but I'd be keeping my money in my pocket with him for now. That's for sure.
No, fair enough. Jaime, would you be of the same opinion that perhaps it will be more staying trips, or do you think he actually has a little bit more speed? He's 40-1 currently, top price for the Supreme, 16-1, obviously a lot shorter for the Bartlett. If I was to give you a free tenner and you had to back him in one of those, which one would you be going for?
He more, I'd say, law of averages, Liam. You know yourself with Mullins because he'll have so much for Supreme, so much for returns. He'll end up in a Bartlett. I think he's a Supreme horse. I didn't think he stayed in these bumpers properly, even though he beat I'll Sort that at Fairy House, who's gone on to win a greater race last week against the Flying King. Look, he was second in his point to Maya Jack said, like that horse is wouldn't I don't think he's any good to be honest with you after becoming a big reputation. Second, obviously, to Carrick Morner Spruce last Christmas at Leopardstown. Switching Diesel ran at Navan last week. Was second in that race. Another horse that I like at the Bromhead is Salsina was in that. So the ground, they don't seem to like the ground now, those horses. So maybe in the spring. I didn't think he jumped well enough in the straight. Jalan Dudery's come back from injury, third in the bumper behind Jasmine DeVoe and Romeo Coolio. I don't think he'll ever be the same again. So you're kind of judging a horse coming back from a long injury. He was second, obviously, Leopardstown in the bumper last year to Carl Cannon. Wasn't great the last day, was he, in the maiden hurdle. Seventh in the bumper, but look up slightly behind him. No Drama's descend was ninth. He was seventh. So you'd have to see him again in a better race. Look, as I said there to you off camera, that if he ends up in the 3 miler that the big Western won at Limerick last year, then he's totally confirmed as a Bartlett. But look, don't be surprised like Willie Mullins was messing around with Jasmine DeVoe's trip last year and then all of a sudden ends up in the 3 mile. Albert Bartlett absolutely romps home. So look, it's your choice is what, 10-1, 12-1 for the Bartlett is ridiculous. But 40s for the Supreme, maybe, but obviously Mullins. If you haven't seen the best of Mullins, wait till the maiden hurl that Kopek the board won last year, and then you'll start seeing Willie Mullins horses.
There we are. So we'll keep our eye out for that one. He's a little bit reminiscent for me of Ballygunner Castle last year, and I think people started to get overexcited and were pinning him as an Albert Bartlett horse, and obviously nowhere to be seen really in the main events come the back end of the season. Lads, before we move on, I'm going to put you on the spot a little bit, and this hasn't been planned, so it's a bit unfair on you both, but I'm going to do it anyway. On November the 24th, Joe, and we're not going to hold either of you to account for any of these picks. Give me the winner of the Supreme, the Turners, and the Albert Bartlett. So Joe,
it'd be easier, I'd say, if we go super. He says Supreme, I say Supreme. He goes Turners, I go Turners, something like that, because it gives him a chance to look at Edge Sticker.
We'll do exactly that in that case. So Joe, I'll start with you. As I say, we're not going to hold you to account. These aren't bets. They aren't part of our Ante-Post series. But give us the winner of the Supreme in November.
It's hard enough trying to find a runner in the race, I think, at the moment, let alone the winner. But I suppose, I mean, look, I'm not a massive fan of My Daddy Paddy. Fou de Trois is an interesting horse that runs this week for Mullins in the Donnelly Silks. He's by Motivator. He was actually third on his only start to date at O'Toy. So he's kept his novice status for this season, which is pretty smart of Willie Mullins. And it's interesting that he's bought the horse that finished third, Fou de Trois, because in front of him he had Sauvignon, who was a disappointment really for Nichols. I think he's now out for the season as well. Haven't really seen anything from the winner. But he's been back from 50 to 1 into 16 to 1 in a matter of sort of 10 days. So you'd have to take some sort of confidence from that. But I wouldn't be telling anyone to back anything at the moment. I don't usually bet in these races this early until we've seen a few runs. But I did take a chance on Lord the Board in the same ownership and same silks. He's out for the season. And now they're talking at Fou de Trois. So I feel like I'm just jumping ship, really. So look, if anything, Fou de Trois, but we haven't even seen him run, so I'm not advising nothing, Liam.
No, as I say, just a bit of fun, mate. And I think it's just interesting to get early thoughts from you both. Anyway, I'm sure people will be interested in it. So Fou de Trois at 20 to 1 top price in a few places for Joe. Jaime, tell us the winner of the Supreme on the 24th of November.
I told you in September, 25 to 1. It's My Daddy Paddy.
He's not gonna win it, James. I'm telling you, he's not winning those Supreme.
Turners.
When you're told, Joe. Do you have to take notice of those things?
True.
He looks a smart one. Yeah, we'll obviously see what happens there. Now 8 to 1. So anybody who followed Jamie in, you got the value straight away anyway, because he's no favourite, as I say, top price 8. Joe, no drama this end is at the head of the market for the Turners. 12 to 1 was obviously very impressive the last day. What kind of takes your fancy at this early stage, or would you?
Nothing, Liam. I haven't got anything for you.
Play my game, Joe. Play my game.
We're going. This is difficult, mate. Let's say Fou de Trois to win the Supreme and the Turners, mate.
All right, I'll let you get away with it. Jamie.
Struggling.
It's Skelton again for me at this present moment of time, and I hope he goes to the Cello, because I think he'll beat no dramas this end. It's Harry Lowe's that run in the maiden hurdle last week at Exeter.
He was very good.
He really impressed me. I think he'd be Supreme if there was no My Daddy Paddy. So he's definitely going to step up, because the money's down on the Supreme for My Daddy Paddy. He's definitely going there. So that means that Harry Lowe's will step up hopefully for Skelton, and I can't wait to see him again, because I think he is the most impressive horse. I think he was better than My Daddy Paddy, and I'll put it that way too. I think he's really good.
Is there a chance they could clash in the Supreme if they both ended up there?
Maybe, because JP's a law to his own. I presume Harry Skelton would want to ride it either or.
Yeah, so, true.
Yeah, one and one in the other. But at the present moment of time, it's just taking a chance. He's 20 to 1 or something. I like Harry Lowe's, yeah.
Love it. Albert Bartlett, Joe. Is this the hat trick for Fou de Trois?
Fou de Trois all the way, mate. Fou de Trois all the way. Again, mate, honestly, I'm sorry. I know you've asked me to play your game, but I am struggling. I can't even pluck anything and give you a good reason. Perhaps Copacabana could be a little bit forgotten. I don't think he's a 2 miler or a 2.5 miler, so he may end up going up towards this trip. But again, mate, yeah, I'm struggling here, to be honest with you.
Fair enough. Jamie, what wins the Albert Bartlett?
I suppose a bit more. I looked at this there. The most interesting runner really is the one who beat Conman John in the bumper, in the 2 mile 3 bumper at Hunchestown last year, yeah. For Emmett Mullins, the Soldier of Milan, something like that, or like that Dr. Dubmesnil, people are saying right. But if I pick Soldier of Milan, Harry Lowe's wins, and My Daddy Paddy wins, that means no Willie Mullins horse is going to win a novice hurdle at Cheltenham. So I better be quiet now.
Maybe I was just a year too early. Maybe he won't win a novice grade on this season.
Yeah.
Right. We will move on that note. The Puncher's Town, a young horse last year, a lot of people were keen on. We saw him go over fences, and he looked beat, didn't he, until he managed to get back up. The Enabler travelled well through the race. He has no finishing effort whatsoever. I think he was beat at odds of 1 to 9 last season. on maiden hurdle, out in one of his maiden hurdles. But Kitzbühel beat K Doty. What did you make of this, Jamie?
I think if it was the old rule, like I said, he reminds me of the horse that I said who I couldn't have last year in the same silks, Dancing City. Reminds me totally of him. He'll end up in the Browns. He's probably rated too highly for the National Chase because of his hurdle mark. He'll end up in the Browns. He'll finish fifth or sixth. He'll end up in an Irish National, something like that. Because if there was the old rules of the National Hunt Chase, this is your horse. But now it's the new rule in the 145, and like they need to do something. I'm going to quickly rant on that. They need to do something with that because you have a novice handicapper over 2.5 miles, and you have a 3.5 mile, 3 mile sixer, and they're all in a 0 to 145 rating band. How is that fair? Do you know what I mean? It's just ridiculous, and that's just me. But the old, I suppose they had to do because the old rules of the National Hunt Chase were getting 5-6 runner races, and they had to do something. But I understood for that. But it's just the rating band needs to change so these horses have a chance in actually running races at Cheltenham because he's absolutely no chance in the Brown Advice, right? Yeah. It's just it wouldn't be. I think he's a no man's land, Liam. To be honest, you could see that last year, and then towards his novice hurdle campaign. He's just a 141 early 150s horse, and that's what he'd be like for the rest of his career.
Yeah, 153 over hurdles. You don't imagine he's going to be below that 145 mark, do you, Joe, for a handicap come the festival? Any horse is going to look quite diminutive when they're stood next to K Doty, but he doesn't seem to have all that to him either. He doesn't seem to be a big strapping horse. Obviously, I just mentioned the second there, Joe. Would you be taking K Doty moving forward, or do you think that Kitzbühel is a far better animal?
I think Kitzbühel's much better. Yeah, much better. But that doesn't say a whole lot because I don't think Kitzbühel is actually last season. I thought he might turn into be a real smart horse. Watching this run at the weekend was a little bit interesting because Paul Townend lost his position twice on Kitzbühel this weekend. He got taken on twice as well. And on the home turn, 3 or 4 kicked for home, and Paul just sat there. He just sat there, and it was probably a bit of an underestimated ride. He set his own fractions. He didn't let the cavalry on the outside sort of change any of his plans, and it proved to be detrimental at the end of the race because he had that bit of extra stamina to go on and win. But he's just a little bit of a lazy horse, really. He is responding, but he just takes such a long time to sort of hit top gear. And like you said, Liam, he's not the biggest either. He's quite small. I feel like with his attributes, he needs to be a big horse to really become a proper 3-miler. He's only a 5-year-old, so he's got plenty of time. But I'd probably now, to be honest, agree with Jamie. He could be some sort of national horse for the future. He's definitely a stayer anyway. They tried him last year a little bit shorter, and he just runs like a stayer. Yeah, he's an awkward horse. I wouldn't want to go parting with any money with him. Fairly talented, but I wouldn't know what I'd want to do with him. I certainly wouldn't be putting any money on him at Cheltenham. I don't think he'd enjoy it there at all. So I don't even know if he'd even end up at Cheltenham, actually, to be honest, and sidestep it completely. So yeah, he's a tricky horse, got talent, but he's a bit lazy and needs to be ridden a certain way, and that might be a bit of a detriment to where the ceiling he can reach, really, with regards to winning races. So,
yeah. No, fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Okay, we'll move on. And we're just basically going to hop straight into kind of both mares' divisions. So both for the mares' chase and for the mares' hurdle, or potentially champion hurdle when we start looking at the Morgiana. But we'll start again yesterday at Cork with the mares' beginners' chase. Joe, I'll stick with you. Jay de Grugy was sent off 2 to 7 favourite. Blew out. Carla Conti, though, I thought was very impressive. It won by nearly 10 lengths in the end. She's 16 to 1 now, top price for the mare's chase. Could you have her on your radar for that? And give us an analysis of Jade de Grugy's performance and what she does next.
Yeah, Carla Conti wouldn't be on my radar. I don't think she's good enough to go and win a mare chase whatsoever. Don't think she's anywhere near the standard. But that just tells you how bad Jade de Grugy ran as well, to be honest with you. Like she didn't make a good shape at her fences. Didn't travel well, never looked happy. We know her engine's better than what we've seen, but her jumping was not for chasing. I'd imagine she will go straight back over hurdles after that. I don't even think they'd want to, temper or give it another go with her over fences. She just didn't enjoy it. back over hurdles. She'll be a much better horse in March, and she'll end up in the mares hurdle, I think, myself. Really disappointed, really disappointed. Obviously, I wanted to see the big Westerner, and that didn't happen. But Jade just ran no sort of race and can't jump. Simple as that, really. I think she needs to go back over hurdles.
No, fair enough. She almost landed on one, didn't she, Jamie? She
Mm.
absolutely took off from miles out. Are you of the same opinion as Joe? Do you think they'll give her a second chance at the larger obstacles, or will it be straight back over hurdles?
They might give her a second chance, but I just can't see it either. No, she makes an very awkward shape over her fences, to be honest with you. Um, I don't think you'd be far wrong anyone advising anyone to take. She's gone out to 12 to 1 for the mare's hurdle. That's value. That is massive value now, because if you look at if Lossimo, we'll be talking about this till the cows come home. It's like his Constitution Hill back is Lossimo going to the champion hurdle. 4 to 1 would who be very hard to beat. But Shade Grugy each way at 12 to 1 at the moment. If you're that type of a punter and want to take a massive chance, it's not really a massive chance because she will go back hurling and she will be Willie Mullins' #1 for the mare's hurdle at this present moment in time. I hope she is, because I think 12 to 1 is massive. But she won't beat Woodhoo. But look, you're getting 3 to 1 a place for taking a chance. So I wouldn't have put anyone off putting her back in the mare's hurdle, because if she wouldn't even be in the first 5 in the mare's chase.
Do you reckon they'll give Cargasi a chance at chasing now that's
Yeah,
happened?
but I think they know, Joe, that Cargasi is an Arkle horse.
2 miler, isn't she?
Yeah,
Nothing,
she's a 2 miler.
nothing
She
further.
doesn't. We said that last year. I said that last year on the pod for ages. I said she's no 2 miler. She's not
She
an
is. You're
Arkle.
right. You're right. Yeah.
So she's an Arkle horse, and obviously, hopefully, we'll see her during the week.
Hopefully so. Talking of the mares hurdle, in that case, as you mentioned, Jade Grease now 12 to 1. If anybody fancies taking a bit of that, just in a word, because it is as boring as the Constitution. It's almost as boring as me going on about Jango Baie or Joe talking about Marine Nationale. Lossy mouth. Jamie, champion hurdle or not? Yes or no?
Yes.
She will. Joe?
Yes. And that's not like me, by the way. That's not like me. I'm very much. He sticks to his MO. But I did a write up in my Discord group, and I said the only way Lossie ends up in the champion hurdle is if State Man doesn't get there, and he's obviously not going to get there now. So I know you said quickly, but it's just worth mentioning as well. Anzadam's got his entry in the fighting fifth hurdle. If he goes and bolts up there, is he their champion hurdle horse? And then Lossie runs in the mares anyway. Who knows? But I think it's more likely now that she could go down the 2 mile route. Oh God, even though I'm thinking about it now, though, will she? Will she? You know,
I'd make a point on that. He's. I know. Look, he'll always sit in the fence with her, right? But Richie #1 is the owner. He'll want another champion hurdle horse, right? But they have to go back and remember last year they kept saying Stateman was #1, right? And everyone said no, lost him out. They kept saying it, right? She is the natural replacement for him, and I think they know that. And now they've said Leopardstown at Christmas, Leopardstown at DRF. Willie Munn's creature habit. He don't go from having your championship 2 miler and then moving her back over to the mares after running over 2 miles all year. I can't see it myself. It's her. It's the only. She win. I think she'll win the champion hurdle because Cheltenham suits her. The only way she'd win it, it's fine over here in Ireland because to be 3-4 races, she'll win grade ones. But if she wants to win a top class 2 mile race with all of them turning up, it's Cheltenham is the way she's going to win it.
That's how they get her in the same bracket as Annie Power as well, isn't it, James? As well, by getting her to win one of those.
She'll never. Don't even put her in the same sentence as Annie Power.
But she's going that way, isn't? But she's going that way, isn't she? To be fair,
she is. Yeah, he wants. It's the same. It's like correct, Joe. It's like deja vu all over messing around with her trip, right? Putting her here, there, and everywhere to find out, and all of a sudden, then she comes in for a statement like Annie Power did for Faheen all those years ago, and she'll win the champion hurdle. Simple.
She was given a bit of a freebie mind this weekend, though, as well, just to touch on that.
But do you notice that was teaching?
Yeah, no, of course. But I mean, it's easy to say, God, she's
I know, yeah,
brilliant.
But that was teaching because I think the only way she'll win the champion hurdle is the way Annie Power won the champion hurdle.
Yeah, well, possibly so. Yeah. See, again, that just brings us similarities, doesn't it? It's just interesting, like that they've started over 2 miles and they've sent a Ronci into the race who's literally just not turned up at all. And now everyone's just saying, wow, she's stupendous. And it's not her fault, but you can't judge it on that, you know? So They're going to have to give her another go at 2 miles anyway. That's how I see it. And they're going to have to see what happens with Amsterdam in the fighting fifth. Because if Amsterdam then goes and beats the New Lion and Constitution Hill, I feel like we'll see Lossie versus Amsterdam sometime this season. And that will then tell us whether
They'll
Lossie
decide.
goes, yeah, goes there as well. And then
They,
what they do with Jade and
they did
God
the
knows
same
who else.
last year, didn't they, when she came down at the Dublin Racing
Yeah,
Festival?
exactly. Similar. There'll be a similar scenario with that,
Well,
no
it all
doubt.
depends as well you'll know straight away who Paul Townend picks is the one.
Yes. Yeah,
But
certainly will.
I think Lossie would still destroy Wadu, by the way. So I know I'm skipping ahead
Yeah, yeah, oh yeah.
from what we saw this weekend, but like that, people were saying, "Oh, she's brilliant." Don't get me, she's a fantastic mare, but she didn't look like she'd improved from last season to this season. To me, I feel like if you put Lossie Mouth in that race this weekend with Wadu, Lossie would have been 5 clear before they even got to that last hurdle when Wadu came through off the pace. And it's interesting. They again by riding Wadu from the back, they rode her for pace. They didn't ride her to stay 2 mile four, for example, which you'd have to in March. So I don't think Wadu's improved off the back of what we've seen just now. I'd need to see that again from her. But I think it's all going to determine. I think Lossiemouth's path will a lot will rest on what happens in that fight in fifth of Amsterdam this weekend.
So, as we've touched on, I would do, Jamie. I was watching the race and I was thinking short price backers are going to be spitting feathers. Danny Gilligan, you are leaving this late, young man. My God, he judged it perfectly. She won easy enough in the end, didn't she? She had plenty under the bonnet. What did you make of that performance? And it seems like we've touched on the mares, and you're both suggesting that Lossiemouth will go to the champion hurdle. That means that three of the top five in the betting currently for the mares hurdle are basically non-runners. So Cargese is going to go chasing, Lossiemouth's going to go champion, Brighter Days Ahead's going chasing. So is there loads of value in that market as well? And should people start looking at the 4-1 about Woodu or the 12-1 about Jade DeGruge, as you've already
Yeah.
mentioned?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
look,
if
sorry.
there's no last team out, they're miles clear of everything else, Liam. To be honest with you. They are like if you look at the betting, like they're miles clear of the rest. Like when it's Brighter Days Ahead, who doesn't like Cheltenham, flops in on Chase debut. Lady Vega, there's Aurora Vega, Feet of a Dancer. I know won the weekend. Probably will end up here now because of she's nowhere else to run. Bam,
The novices ain't good either, James, are they? Arab
the
entitlement,
deep
6.5.
chase go like you could see Golden Ace going up. Do you know what I mean? It's
Mm.
that bad. It's that bad. There'll be a lot of deadwood in it. Yeah, look, you're actually looking for who's going to finish third, and I couldn't tell you, but it's Woodhu versus Jay DeGruge at the moment for me. You know? But
Mm.
Woodhu would win, yeah. If there's no last minute, Woodhu would win, yeah. Definitely. Look at the way she won the pipe. She's won twice the new track, and even better, they've changed it. The mayor's hurdle to the new track, and she's won there twice before, of course, in distance. Happy days. So she won't be beaten. Like Jay DeGruge won't beat Woodhu, like, but Jay DeGruge is 12-1 to find out.
No, fair enough. Fair enough. She won that pipe really well, didn't she?
What did you think, Liam, out of those two? What did you think about Lossie and Buddy and where you think they'll go?
I agree with you. I think Lossiemouth will go to the champion hurdle. I thought Woodoo was impressive. She obviously had to win, really, given the weight allowance that she was
Yeah,
getting, and the weight that she
yeah,
was
that's
getting
the
for
point.
everyone else. There's one in here that's we're recording our second episode of our Ante-Post series, aren't we? And there is one that's just caught my eye this second in this market, so I'm going to keep my mouth shut.
Yeah, all right, love it, love it.
Perfect. We'll move on in that case, then, lads, and to the main events, and we'll do them in chronological order of how they occurred on the weekend. So we'll start with him. We can't not mention his performance. It looked as if it was going to be a blockbuster race with Ile Francais, Pic Dory. You think taking each other on up front. Before you know it, Gidley Park's the one who's in front, and he's leading those two along. Ile Francais spits his dummy out. Nico de Boinville just doesn't get involved, sits and waits, and Jango Baie, with a screw in his leg, first time up for the season, goes away and wins by 9 lengths. Really impressive. Joe, what did you make of his performance? Is he a proper live wire for something like the Ryanair or the Gold Cup?
He is, mate. He is. Yeah, yeah. And I wouldn't have thought so before the race. So credit to you. You've been telling the world since he won the Arkle that he could be pretty good. Also, he's not very big. Like it shouldn't be an issue because he jumps really well. It's just again, I'm jumping ahead here, but then you go and look at the Jukebox man. He's a monster of a horse, a real big national hunt steeple chasing, horse. Where Jango Bay's a lot smaller. It's a slight concern for me, and I don't know why. We obviously saw Hewitt go and win a King George. He's only a small thing, and he had no trouble. But I don't think he'll stay further than 3 miles. Me, Jango Bay. He's obviously got a bit of speed. I wouldn't like him in a Gold Cup personally. I think he's way out of his depth there. But I'd give him a chance in the King George, and I'd give him a shout in a Ryanair as well. But the performance was brilliant. I like the fact that he was the horse that came out of that race as the clear talent. Gidley Park isn't. Ile France run no sort of race. Pic de Rix wasn't really put into the race. Jango Bay was just too good. So look, props to you, Liam. It's all about you, mate, there because you shouted from the rooftops about him, and he's definitely a King George contender anyway. But I wouldn't have him in a month of Sundays for a Gold Cup anyway.
No, fair enough. Yeah, obviously, I loved every minute of it. My enthusiasm was slightly tempered the longer the weekend went on, though, mine, with regards to the King George, and we'll get
Yeah,
on to those performances. But, Jamie, what did you make of Jango and the rest of the field, really? Ile France, could you back him ever again for anything, even back at
No,
Kempton?
no. Wouldn't touch him.
I can't believe I fell for it. I tipped him up on my
Yeah, I
column.
fell for him as well. Yeah, I've always fallen from Tunis, but
He's so likeable, isn't he, when he's on a
like,
going
but
day?
yeah, but he's like he's
I just thought he
probably.
was going to go off in front. Like I don't know
Do you
about
know
you.
what? Do you know what
Yeah.
he actually probably needs? He actually probably needs good ground. He seems
Mm,
to be lost, and so, like, I know there was good enough ground there, and he just needs absolute fat of a pancake track. Do you know what I mean? Like on good ground, and you see him at his best because every time he turns up at Kempton on better ground, then it's as flat as a pancake, and he gets an easy lead. He looks like a top class horse.
mm.
Then it goes away from somewhere like that, and he's mediocre at best.
I think
I
that's
think,
the problem, though, isn't it, Jay? There's so many he needs or if. So it's if he
yeah,
gets good ground, if he's on a flat track, if he gets an easy lead, if he's given space to do his thing up front. And everyone knows his game now, don't they? And he's just not
Mm,
going to get all the
mm.
race conditions that he wants.
yeah. That's all. That's all. Everybody knows his game. Pick Dory 2-0 now. Had his day in the sun. Gidley Park, yeah. Where'd you go with Gidley Park, though? Do you know what I mean? I know it's his first run of the season, but he was absolutely destroyed by Jango Bay. So they're scratching their heads now where they're going to go.
What's he off?
150
What's his mark? What?
odd, I think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, 155, which is ridiculous.
Yeah. Yeah.
What he's achieved. Um, Jango Bay, yeah, he wouldn't be a Gold Cup for. I think he'd end up with Ryanair. I think we could see an early clash before the Ryanair with him and Factifile at this track over course and distance in the Grade One Ascot Chase. I think because Factifile, so you could see yesterday, unless something happens to Gallop in the Sham, I can't see William One has tormented him going Leopardstown ever again over 3 miles because he doesn't stay. Properly stay. Don't say he doesn't stay, but the year he won the Brown Advisory, they crawled for 1.5 miles, and that's the only reason he won the race. So, yeah, Jango Bay couldn't put you off. You're on a good price, fair play to them. Never a horse on my radar. Never. I did put that, but I admit it. He has a chance in the King George. But we'll get on to horses. Are they not being Irish English biased? But are they as good as is he as good as the two horses we ran yesterday? He still has to go up another level yet from my book. But let him run the King George. Let him take his chance. He could be a 3 miler. It could be a Gold Cup horse because he wasn't stopping at the line at Ascot the weekend. So you have to give him credit. So he's definitely going to line up in the King George. But if he's missed and if he doesn't win that, I think he'll be back for Ascot over course and distance in the Grade One, and hopefully he might see an early Ryanair person. And hopefully Willie One is to bring over Factify, and we'll have a great race and let him clash again in the Ryanair.
Yeah, I think he's currently top price 7-1 for the Ryanair, 20-1 for the Gold Cup. I suppose if he is on anybody's radar, all I would say is that he's 2 from 2 at the track, obviously getting up in the Arkle. But go back and watch his seasonal reappearance last year when Caldwell Potter had the benefit of the run. Look what Caldwell Potter went on to do subsequently, and he absolutely kicked him out of the way. I think he should be on people's radars for either the Ryanair or the Gold Cup, depending on what how you interpret his ability and what he's capable of. To be perfectly honest,
Do you think he'll stay? Do you think he'll stay, Liam? Gold Cup trip? Do you?
yeah, I think he's capable of doing it, John.
Yeah, fair enough.
Yeah,
Yeah, fair enough, mate. Fair enough.
yeah. I just think with every run that there's even more confidence that I have in his ability, and he just seems to be getting progressively better. Look, whether Nicky Henderson was talking out the other side of his mouth when he was saying, "Look, he'll need the run," maybe he was, and that wasn't the case because he's got a great record going fresh anyway. But if he is going to come on for that, then the ceiling's even higher than I initially thought it was. So time will tell, mate. Just roll on Christmas. Let's get Boxing Day out the way, and hopefully I'm collecting
Yeah,
come
fair
the
enough.
end of it. One thing that nobody can deny is this boy can jump. The Jukebox man, how brilliant was he, Joe? You've already alluded to it, but yeah, what a
Yeah,
performance after such a long layoff.
yeah, I love this. I think a lot of people just took it for granted, to be honest. Like that performance, he was absolute dynamite. Like the problem again, and again, I'm not saying Django won't stay, but my view is that the Jukebox man is no more than a 3 miler. You know, I don't see where the extra 2 furlongs would come from, especially at Cheltenham when you've got that stiff finish. He's a big, lovely horse. Unfortunately, there's no 3 mile race at Cheltenham. I don't think he's quick enough for a Ryanair. Um, and I don't think he'll stay a Gold Cup trip. So I feel like he's right in the middle, unfortunately. I think he'd have a big chance in the King George. What's nice is that Ben Paulin, said, look, we're not going to rush him back last season. We're going to give him his time off. We're going to get him prepped for this year. We're going to get him out ready to go. 331-day layoff. He's come out and he's just demolished that field. What I did like is when it got to the deep end, Ben Jones asked him a question. He just pushed his heels in a little bit into the Jukebox man, and the camera went to the side angle, and you could see Jukebox really chucking his neck out. He was like really enjoying himself, and I love that. I love that he wants to race, and that's a big part of it because you're more likely to get the most out of the horses. So I couldn't have him on my mind for a Gold Cup yet, but I think he'd have a massive chance in the King George. Yeah, he's a really good horse and really good training performance. That, to be fair.
No, absolutely. He was running a little bit on fumes. I know he was a novice at the time, Jamie, but Joe's alluded to the trip and whether he'd get the extra distance of a Gold Cup. Of course, he was running on fumes in the Albert Bartlett when getting collared by Stella Story, was it? If my memory serves me right.
Yeah.
Are you of the same opinion, or obviously we know that the King George is the main aim? How do you think that he would get on there, obviously against the potential opposition? And would you see him more as a Ryanair or as a Gold Cup type?
He's not a Ryanair horse to me, Liam. I can't see him saying the extra 2 furlongs. Look at exactly what you're saying on fumes in the Albert Bartlett. He beat by Stellar Story, who is being very disappointing. Dancing City was third that Albert Bartlett. Don't think he's up to top class level either. Do you look at the way? I know. Yes, we'll get on to the rest. I'm getting ahead of myself. Yeah, like beaten by Dancing City in Aintree, as well. Went on to Newbury, Mazzacchio, beat Mazzacchio last year again in the Courthouse Star. But look at the form the Courthouse Star has me a huge alarm bell straight away. Look, he's a fantastic horse. Wouldn't you love to own him? He jumps like an absolute good thing. But he's only one way of running. He's no other style. He has to go out in front. And that's just me to be seen at his best. So that means, is he going to sit behind LA France in the King George? So would he like that? I don't know. That's just me. Look who he beat last year. Highland, handicapper. Mazzacchio is unfortunately, I think, is injured, handicapper. Welcome to Cartridge was absolute muck in Cheltenham the last day. White Rhino, a handicapper. So the form isn't there quite enough. Iroko is only going around galloping around tracks this year for get ready for another Grand National. So is the form mighty? No, it's not. Is he a good horse? Yes, he is. But I think he's just that shy when he gets back into when the Irish horses come. He's just a little shy for me. But he's not a first cousin to Gold Cup horse. He'll end up in the Ryanair. They might have a go. Fair play to them. If the Gold Cup cuts up, which it could do. But no, I wouldn't have him on my radar for a Gold Cup. Or give him a slight squeak in a Ryanair. You might get Factify and Jango Baie at it early. You never know. But no, I think Ryanair. But yeah, would I give him a chance in the King George? Maybe. He's in the top three anyway for me. I think that's obvious after what we've seen the weekend.
Yeah, no, definitely. You mentioned Iroko there, Jamie. Is the horse being done a disservice given the horse's ability and the way that he's being campaigned? He should definitely have more than one chase victory to his name, and
He should. He's been
that was on debut, wasn't it? Over
yeah,
fences
yeah.
at Warwick.
Warwick. Yeah.
Yeah,
I think he'd definitely be given a disservice. Yeah, I
yeah,
agree too. The other thing with Iroko is you really want it, and that's the other side of him. Yeah, look, he's only been campaigned one day, mine, but look, that's dangerous too, isn't it? Because you need a lot of luck to win those races.
absolutely. Joe, you got anything to add on that?
No, not a fan of Iroko. Not a fan at all. I feel like they've campaigned him all over the shop last year. He's just going to be heading towards the Grand National again. I think he'll come up short. Don't think he's quite got the class. So, yeah, nothing. No, nothing to add there, mate. To be honest.
No, fair enough. Jamie, we're getting there. We're nearly there. One more race, and then we can get across to Ireland. Grey Dawning was mightily impressive, but I want to start with Haiti Colours. Jamie, just not on a going day, or is just not Grade 1 quality? Obviously, I was on at big prices, was very excited, but the writing was on the wall after about 4 fences.
Yeah, Rebecca Curtis came out the last day and said he's always bucking in thing and saying that he was very quiet in himself or whatever, which is fine. All horses have an off day. Best horses ever have off days. Is he up to Grade 1 standard? I think they've probably made a mistake, and that's just me. Made a mistake about running him at Newbury so close. I think they thought they could get him fit, and then he actually won the race. And I don't think they thought he was going to win that race. So I think it was too much for him too soon. Because I mean, like, they didn't do absolute monster pace like in this Betfair Chase. They never do. And the only reason Grey Dawning won is because the ground was better from last year. It's just a flip-flap reverse. It was an absolute swamp year before Royal Baie won. If it was still a swamp the weekend, Royal Baie would have beaten Grey Dawning. That'll tell you, like, that just tell you. So the ground was better. Harry obviously learned from the year before, but the only reason Grey Dawning won because the ground was way better than it was the year before. So is the form mighty? No. Like he's saying, Cotswold's Chase after Skelton said he'll have to go there because then they mentioned the Savage Chase. There's no way Grey Dawning's come over for Savage Chase against Gallop in the shop. Come on, wake up. Not all hope. I don't know why he mentioned it. He just was teasing people. That's never going to happen. It's Gallop in the shop. It's done. And that's the only reason he'll come over. But
I think it's also lack of options, Jake, because he said we can't go to Kempton, so we won't go to King George, and then followed that up by saying we won't be going to any right-handed track. So that takes you've only really got the races at Ascot, Kempton, and then other than that, you're struggling really until the spring, aren't you?
Really
Aintree and the Gold Cup itself.
But to me, Liam, the quick thing I'd say about the weekend in the whole is that something has to do both sides. They're going to have to come together because there's too many similar races on one weekend. You have the Ascot race, you have the Chirkin, you have the Betfair Chase. But like the Betfair Chase is nowhere near the race it was years ago. Nowhere near the race it was, and it should be. It's been put there for a reason. And now it's not even. To me, it's a flappable Grade 2 in my opinion. It's not a Grade 1 anymore. It's a Grade 1 in name. But they have to do something with it because it's getting ridiculous. There's just too many. Like you have nothing there that we Cheltenham obviously, and then there's some weekends there's hardly nothing on, and then they have it all on one weekend. I don't know. It just makes no sense to me. Because a great race like the Betfair Chase should have been given the respect it is. But I suppose the problem is now is that Haydock, you could have your whole season ruined at Haydock on soft, heavy grounds. That's the problem. But you didn't get it that this year. So, look, I thought more Irish horses would come over for an easy 3 mile race. But, look, instead of Story did, but he's just not up to the speed at the moment. But would I be taking Grey Dawning for anything for the rest of the year? No.
No, fair enough. I personally think he'll come out of this far better than he did last year, Joe, but that's just very much to my untrained eye watching the race as Harry just sat and waited and sauntered down that long home straight. Royal Pagaille, I think we need to give a notable mention to how commendable of an effort did he give, especially given Venetia's horses. Venetia in the month of November, everybody talks about. She's had one winner in November, so her horses are not going great guns at all. What did you make of the Grey Dawning performance? I know that you really liked the patience that Harry showed in the ride.
Yeah, it was brilliant. He didn't want to get caught like last year going off in front too soon and then having Royal Pagaille sort of come back at him. So they've obviously learned plenty from last year. I was a bit naive and thought, what are they doing going back to this race? But there's me thinking that they weren't going to have a change of plan or anything. So that was my fault for being so naive. I did actually end up fancying him quite strongly on the day. It was brilliant. Yeah, he rode him to make sure there was a little bit left in the tank. He literally just sat behind Royal Pagaille, sat behind handstands the whole way, and just thought, well, we'll just pick him off for a little bit of speed at the end. We'll let them do the donkey work out in front. And Harry Scouten was keen not to let go of Grey Dawn, and you could see him even over the last few fences, winged it, and then just gave him a slight pull, just whoa, hold fire a second. And yeah, he just picked him off at the end. Really, really good, well thought out plan, I think, from the Scouten team. That has to be commended. Really good ride from Harry Scouten too. I think they can start dreaming about the Gold Cup myself. I don't think he's probably going to be good enough, but I think now you get one more run into him and then send him to Cheltenham fresh and then give it everything you got. Don't he's not a million miles away. He's still got more to do, don't get me wrong, but he's not a million miles away. I'd certainly rather have him over the Jukebox man, over all of the English sort of contenders for a Gold Cup, because he's the one that will probably stay better than the rest. Whether he's good enough, not so sure, but that was a brilliant performance. And check for Dan Scouten. He's miles ahead now. He's come out and really attacked the season. Brilliant. You got to give him his credit. People talk about how Scouten and they get it wrong on all these rides and they're holding this, but you target a race with their horses, they get it spot on, and they've just done it again there, like they have this season already with Panic Attack and other horses. Brilliant training performance, brilliant ride, brilliant performance from the horse. Yeah, great stuff that was.
Absolutely, and I think especially on this side of the water as well, we're not quick enough to be as to show as much admiration for the
No.
top class trainers that we have, whilst also then holding those over in Ireland who are brilliant. But Dan Skelton, look at what he's done with Cabral de Matan. He
Yeah,
hasn't plotted
exactly.
him. That horse has gone up in the handicap for finishing second consistently, and then he bolts in by half the track on the weekend. Where's
Yeah,
that
yeah,
improvement come from? It's come
yeah,
from Dan Skelton.
yeah. I think they're talking about him as a potential stayers hurdle candidate now. I think he's into single figure price sort of thing. And like, don't get me wrong, it's a case of like Marchand 2. We've got to find out if he's good enough. And we found out Marchand 2 isn't. But it's like,
Yeah.
Jesus Christ, you can't not be impressed with how he bolted up at the weekend. Not a fan of Haiti Couleur after that. I think Rebecca Curtis regrets her decision. That's what I think. That's why she's calling nonsense. She's going to freshen him up now, leave him much fresher for the Cheltenham. But that Pertemps run was only 2 weeks ago. It's not a long time to then chuck a horse into a better fair chase. I think she'll learn a bit from that and keep him fresher for Cheltenham. He's no Gold Cup horse after that, though. Not at all.
I know that we're actually looking ahead to the Cheltenham markets or relaying the week's action to Cheltenham markets, but it's almost been all but confirmed that he'll be aimed at the Welsh National. Could either of you have Hater Colours on your radar for that? I imagine it'll be top weight.
Well, I'd like to know what the long term season plan is first, though. You know, if you just run him in a Pertemps, then you've chucked him into a Betfair Chase, and now you're going to go to a Welsh National at Chepstow. You haven't then got long to get a horse ready for Cheltenham. I don't like that campaign. I just don't. Yes, we want to see them racing, of course, but I don't like that campaign at all. It would really be a massive put off for me, that would, if they're targeting the Welsh National. He's not a graded horse if they're going that way.
Yeah, very true. Anything to add on that, Jamie, or should we get on to the big one over at
No.
Punchestown?
She I think exactly what Joe said. She learned from her mistake.
Yeah, no, definitely. That is the way life works. We all make them, and yeah, I'm sure that she will and won't be making the same mistake again, providing he still retains that ability and can compete at the top level. Right, the John Durkan delivers again. Absolute action-packed and brilliant field was declared. I was quite keen to see how Lecky Watson got on here, but I Am Maximus, Grange Clare West, James de Burley, I know the way you're thinking, just could not go the clip that was set by Paul Townend on Gaelic Warrior. He gained almost 23 lengths jumping in this. Joe, I'll let you go first and you can kind of analyse, because I've stolen this from you in a write-up that I've actually put into Odds Checker today, but you gave quite a good analysis of the tactics that are employed by Townend and using Gaelic Warrior's staying power as well as his pace.
Yeah, brilliant. Really, really good. The first thing, people should stop saying that there were non-tries in this race. There's absolute nonsense. If they thought their horses would stay that trip, they'd have gone out there like at that pace. They'd have gone with them too. And if you look at the end of the race, it's not like anyone managed to close the gap when they went off in front. So for people to call him a non-tries, it's absolute nonsense in my opinion. But yeah, the first two were miles better than the rest. They rode Factor File for speed. You know, tried to use his speed late on in the race, which they did. Paul Townend rode Gaelic Warrior for stamina, and he was absolutely awesome. This for me is nearly as good as it gets. He rode him for stamina. He had a look around, waited for Gaelic Warrior to use his speed. At the same time, he then gave Gaelic Warrior a breather to then finish off with that stamina kick at the end. He literally out tacticked. I don't even know what the word is there.
We know what you
He
mean.
tactically outdid Mark Walsh. Don't get me wrong, if you're back in Factify, you'd be disappointed. Of course you would. Be like that any sort of road where you don't get beat that far. But Paul Townend was absolutely superb. This was where he showed his class. Yes, he gets all the good rides, but he waited until Factify used that bit of speed at the end. Then he gave Gaelic Warrior that breather, and then he let him go and finished him for stamina. Absolute genius work that was, in my opinion. Genius. Best ride of the weekend by a mile. That was unbelievable.
Yeah, it was exceptionally good,
And
and it was
sorry,
no,
last
go
thing
on.
to say, the right two horses finished 1 and 2 as well. So
Especially at this trip. Yeah,
yeah,
2 mile 3. Yeah,
exactly. Like honestly, that was pure class. That ride. People have underestimated that because they either backed Factor File and thought he should have went past, or they just thought the others were non-trials. I think both nonsense. Gaelic Warrior was too good. Really good ride from Townend. He wouldn't have won if Patrick Mullins was on board, and he wouldn't have won if Danny Mullins was on board. Paul
no, I
Townend won Gaelic the race with brilliant tactics, yeah. And they know what they've got now, I tell you.
um, we'll stick with the winner, Jamie. Gaelic Warrior. Is there any other horse in training who's an open company chaser who could be ridden like that and has the gears and speed to win potentially grade ones at 2 miles? Also can do what he did over the intermediate trip the last day, and also could perhaps be settled and win over 3 miles utilising his stamina. Is there a horse that's got as many attributes that Gaelic Warrior has, or is he extra special, a little bit like what we saw with Galloping in his early years when going chasing?
No, there's no horse that's near him now anymore. But like that, the problem with it always being with Gaelic Warrior is consistency. He didn't have the consistency of Galloping the Champers. If he does, he's the best horse. He's the best staying chaser in training. Now, at this present moment of time. But look, how can you say that? There was 2.5 miles. It's going to be 3 the next day. Kempton. I'm like, I was delighted with the run because it got the freshness out of him. Because the next day he'll settle.
Yes,
And
true.
he'll have to settle in the King George. You can't run like that in the King George. Do you know what I mean? But he'll get the pace.
I'll be happy if he goes off like that in the King George.
No, he will not. No, he will not. He'll be up the inside, Town and him up the inside, tracking Ile Francais and the Jukebox man. Nico would be tracking one horse, and the only horse Nico would be tracking is Gaelic Warrior.
I agree. Yeah, I agree.
So that's going to be the run of the race. The quicker they go, the better to be. Because look, remember, this horse is on an Arkle. Like, he's an old style staying chaser that's good enough to win a grade 1 over 2 miles. So that means he's in the war of attrition sizing John bracket for me. So I took 20s early in the season for the Gold Cup. I can't see past him for the Gold Cup name. I've said it all year. I just cannot see past this horse. But you're always heading nickel linked out with Gaelic Warrior. It's just, you just don't know. Like, he's one of those horses, and that's why everybody likes him. Yeah, I can't see him be beating the King George. I think he win the King George easy, and he's just so far clear of all of them. But he'll have to turn up, and he has to turn up like he did yesterday. Factifile, when stamina really comes into play, he's found out. And I would like people cribbing Mark Walsh yesterday. Could he have gone earlier? He'd have been beaten further if he got earlier. So the stair.
It was a game of cat and mouse, wasn't it?
Yeah, that's it.
He went, yeah, come on then, and Paul just went away
The
again.
stair beat the speed horse. Do you know what I mean? Like, they
That's
thought
exactly why it's so impressive. Like that's exactly why it was so good.
Yeah, they thought Factified was good enough to win a 2 mile race against Marie National at the back end of the season. So, do you know what I mean?
Mhm.
So, it's the Stair, who was a speed horse years ago, Gaelic Warrior, but they thought he was a 2 miler. Now it's the Stair, but he's just a better horse than Factified. Fair enough, you ran that at Leopardstown yesterday. Factified would won by half the track. It's just he doesn't act there. But no, it's just Gaelic Warrior's a better horse. And Gaelic Warrior, like, I think Gaelic Warrior's only one horse to beat in the Gold Cup. And Joe's not going to like this. I know the way you're thinking. There's only one horse to beat him. I know the way you're thinking.
I think that
But
was such a fluke, honestly, last year. I'm telling
no,
you
no,
now,
no.
that's an
It was
absolute fluke.
no. I think what happened last year in the Gold Cup was that the ground came for. I know what you're thinking
That's
compared to
what I mean,
Gallopin.
though, really. That's what I mean
Gallopin,
more than anything.
but the way I know the way you're thinking. One, he's Kim Muir. He can go on any ground because that was bottomless when he won the Kim Muir. So look, I think at this present moment in time, I like how can I discount a two-time Gold Cup winner? I am. I just leave horses go when they've got so far in their careers. So at the moment, to me, on the 24th of November, I think the Gold Cup's between I know the way you're thinking in Gaelic Wire.
If there is no Galloping de Champs at Christmas, Joe, I'll start with you and I'll come back to yourself, Jamie. Where does Willie send his string? So obviously we know JP's going to
Mm.
do whatever JP kind of wants to do. Will that then dictate the other manoeuvres? Is there any way that Gaelic Warrior, as a prep for the Gold Cup, tries left-handed again at Leopardstown because otherwise there'll be no dart in that race for Willie if Galloping doesn't make it?
I don't think so. I think by winning the Durkin the way he did this weekend, I think that will tell them they've got a Gold Cup horse now. I just think they'll go to the King George and then I think they're going to go to the Gold Cup. I think it's going to be a proper like the old school natural route as such sort of thing, you know. Factifar they can do whatever they want with. I think it all depends on whether they can get Galopan ready for Christmas or not, basically. Otherwise, Factifar's probably going to take his place in those races. But Gaelic Warrior to me now looks nailed on for a King George tilt. Um, I think as well the fact that Gaelic Warrior beat Factifar probably tells them, okay, well let's stay away from that 3 mile division now. We've got our Ryanair horse, we've got our Gold Cup horse. That is it. That picture, Jamie sent in a picture to our group chat of Factifar and Gaelic Warrior coming over the last two, whatever it was. We'll go back to that picture in March and say, well, there you go. We had the Ryanair and Gold Cup winner all along from that John Durkin. Jamie probably, to be fair, got me onto Gaelic Warrior with regards to the Gold Cup hype. I've always liked Gaelic Warrior, but I've always thought he wanted further. When he won the Arkle, I actually tipped him for the Browns, etc. But I think Jamie's spot on there. He's just going to get better and better, and he's 7-year-old.
7. He's been around for a decade.
Yeah, honestly,
Around for
honestly,
ages.
yeah,
That's why we love National Hunt Racing,
yeah,
though, isn't it? It's brilliant.
yeah,
We've seen him since his
exactly.
juvenile start.
I think he's brilliant. I do. I can almost I see what Jamie's been alluding to like the whole time now as well, with the sense like he won an Arkle like War of Attrition, Size and John, like Kicking King was good enough to win over two and went up and won King George's and stuff. And it's probably only now we're going to see the best of Gaelic Warrior. When he went in his novice chase campaign as an Arkle horse, he was quirky as you like. But when he went to Aintree at the end of last season, we saw the real Gaelic Warrior over 2.5 miles or 2 mile 5, whatever it is, just battered. Was it Grey Dawn and he beat that day, wasn't it?
3 miles. 3 miles one.
3 miles. Of course it
Yeah.
was. Of course it was. Mildmay, wasn't it? Yeah, my bad. But that's the day we saw the real Gaelic Warrior. And if them horses can't get close to him on that ground, they've got no chance in March. Yeah, look, I have tipped
So
him for my
you're,
Discord, but
you have you.
Jamie, yes, yeah, tipped him at 16-1. So not the 20s that Jamie got, but for my Discord, I'm all over him now as well. Yeah, I think he's the Gold Cup winner. But the danger for me is Galopin de Champ, where danger for Jamie is I know the way you're thinking. But either way, Gaelic he's a beast, boys. We're only just tapping into that potential now, I think.
8-1 top price. Both the boys fancy him, and even me, who kept telling Jamie that a horse that wants to run 4 miles in a Gold Cup by jumping out to his right will never win it. I'm starting to come
Go
round.
back and watch the race at the Aintree. He jumped straight as a die left-handed
He
that
did.
day.
Yeah, we made this point at the time. People have always
Yeah.
spoke about his jumping going out to the right. He was dynamite at Aintree. That was where you sort of go, Jesus, what just sort of happened? And fortunate enough to go over to Mullins last year, and I got that little clip where I asked him, I said, how did you manage to get this jump in? He just said, well, a bit of maturity and just things like that. That's all it takes sometimes, which is why I think people were being quite naive with regards to Madgeborough, just assuming what we've seen is his jumping. It's like, look what he's managed to do with Gaelic Warrior. He's arrow straight, wings him. Oh, brilliant. So good, yeah.
Majborough's only a 5-year-old going.
Exactly. Like, I'm on the train with Jamie now.
People are completely quick to dismiss him next year for a champion case because he had one bad mistake the second last, and he's only a 5-year-old.
I'm going to be the vice captain for Gaelic Warriors train that Jamie runs. That's what I'll be.
Fair enough, boys. Fair enough. Last question I'll ask you. I know they tried it at the back end of last season, but look, end of season form isn't always a be all and end all. We don't get the true reflection of horses, do we? JP has still not won the champion chase. Could the switcheroo happen with Madgeborough and Factor File?
No.
Factor File's 25s for the champion chase. No, I see Jamie
Not a
shaking his
chance.
head as well.
Not a chance. No, not a chance.
Cool.
They've tried it. He got beat.
Tried it.
He got beat in a bumper. He got beat by Marie Nationale. They went up to 3 miles and they got outstayed by Grange Clare West and beat by Galopan. They've just been beat by a stayer over two. He's a 2.5 horse. They can't mess around with him anymore. That's why I feel that race is really important with regards to the season. We've got the middle distance horse. We've got the Gold Cup horse. They're not going to risk sending Madgeborough to win the race. That Factor File is already the best in that division and then risk trying to take on Marine and Sergino and everything with Factor File when they know he's not quick enough. I feel that's nailed it for us this weekend. Really important race, despite it being 2 mile 3 and a bit.
Fair enough. Fair enough. So the double currently for the Factor File Ryanair Gaelic Warrior Gold Cup. If anybody wants to follow the boys in, they've obviously alluded to that photo when it could come back to suggest that they were the two winners of the two biggest staying chases of the festival. You can get 26 to 1 with a load of bookies: MGM, Betfred, Ball Sports, Virgin Bet, Sky Bet, Paddy Power. So there's 26 to 1 there if you fancy the double on those. Lads, just as before we round off, I think I'll know both your answers, but give me, Joe, your performance of the last week.
Gaelic Warrior, yeah, brilliant. Seriously good.
Gaelic Warrior.
Perfect. Best race of the week. I love the fact that Jukebox man the way he jumped, to be perfectly honest.
Enjoy
such a long layup. No, go on, Joe.
No, I was going to say, as far as enjoyment goes, though, the Jukebox man, I got a kick out of that. I loved that.
Yeah.
But I enjoyed the Grey Dawning as well, just picking him off. It's good, really, really good race in that. And like we had Jango come to review. Good weekend of racing, that was brilliant.
It
really
was, yeah. Top notch, top notch. As always, thank you to everyone for tuning in. Obviously, thanks to the lads for their opinions on all the racing. Give us your performance of the week down below in the comments, or if you've got a fancy for the Supreme Turners and Albert Bartlett, who are your winners at this early stage of the season. If you can like and subscribe as always, it is really appreciated. And we'll see you again next time.